Welcome to today's Seidokan Saturday. So our last double combination, kicking combination, is Mikazuki geri to Yoko geri, which can be keage or kekomi, but typically we do kekomi. For those of you who I just lost with the terminology, crescent kick into a side thrust kick. This is a fairly common Kung Fu, Taekwondo, Kempo technique that you'll see frequently in those systems, less so in Okinawan, Japan. But remember that even the kicking in Japan was not inherent in the art, because coming from Okinawa, there were maybe front kicks, and that was about it, possibly a side kick. Uechi-ryu is one of the few that had a side kick, but they would perform it typically forward on a 45-degree angle, as if on the inside of opponent's leg here. So the kicking that we now see in traditional classical Okinawan Japanese martial arts came from the outside anyway, most notably from the art of French boxe salade, which is boot fighting of France. Some of it is in the Kung Fu systems. Why it didn't come into the Okinawan karate, I don't really know, because it is very prominent in the Shaolin and Kung Fu systems of China that came over. But because Kanbun Uechi, who founded Uechi-ryu, also known as Pangai Non, went to China specifically to study, as opposed to the indigenous Chinese that moved to Okinawa, and then the Okinawans just sort of absorbed their culture. So there's a difference in approach. Anyway, the combination is thus. Crescent kick, which turns me already, then the side kick. Crescent kick, turning, and the side kick. That's it. And as always, we would do it coming forward as a combination, moving down and across the floor. The crescent kick, I don't know if it's been a while since I covered this, so go back and look at the original videos, but it starts by chambering out, kicks at the apex, up and over, and then turns, which lines us up beautifully for the side kick. In Seidokan specifically, we do use a crescent kick, which is sort of odd in terms of how it's used. We see it in Pinyan Sandan, where we're here, we crescent kick, and then step in. These are basically throwing and locking techniques, so to kick here before going into a lock is a setup to the next technique. But if you think of it as crescent and then a side kick into the horse before we move on with the technique, again, we can sort of extrapolate how that would be used in Seidokan, how it actually exists within our system, is the crescent side thrust. So how do we use this? As a fighting technique, if Max has his guard up, my crescent kick, and again, crescents and reverse crescents are not super powerful, although, as I mentioned back in the crescent kick video, I did see a guy knocked out with a reverse crescent kick in MMA. But from this position, the most simple way to use this is to target the front knee, kick it, turning it in and down, so that as he goes down after this kick, I then would kick head or ribs. Okay? If I take him down, and I'm going to give you a little bit here, so just go with it so we don't bust. I can really take his knee hard here, and that will force him down, and then immediately kick to the head. Right? We can also use the front leg and open him up. Typically what happens is if I kick here, the guard tends to spread. Now there's already a small window of opportunity in the middle for a thrust kick, but the minute I lift this leg, he's going to cover that up. It's gone. Now I may be able to fake it by going low and then chuck it up high, but to make it simpler from this position, I'll just take my front leg here, and that immediately opens him very nicely for the kick. Same thing can be applied. Instead of going low crescent and then mid to high with the side. We can go high crescent and then low. So his guard is up. I can take out his elbow or his hand here. Boom. As I showed in the crescent video. And then again, following up to the target of my choice. Same thing as I open the guard, we can come down thigh, knee, middle of the body here. Okay, this way. Open the guard, stomp, kick, depending on where I want my target. Right? So, variety of ways combatively to use this and set up my follow-up. I don't waste time putting my foot on the ground. Yes, it does require more balance. I have to think about that, where my contact is. I may completely miss it. I might try, if I've done this a few times and now he overreacts to it, that becomes a fake and a follow-up. So there are a lot of different ways to use this combination. Arigatou gozaimasu. Mikazuki geri, Yoko geri, kekomi. That's our combination for today. Try it. See how many different permutations you can come up with. The basic 4, kick low to the leg, high to the body or head, kick high to the arm, low to mid body, head, leg. Same thing to the guard on the leg on the inside. See if you can come up with some of your own. Be practical. Use it in sparring. If you can't use it in live sparring or live scenario grappling, situational self-defense drills where your opponent is being resistant or attacking for real. This is one that I typically will teach just as a standard bunkai for Pinyin and Zanban, which we haven't gotten to yet, but from our standard oisuki attack, hey, I go, boom, here, and then come in with my elbow and back fist. So I'm using that. If instead of just blocking, when he attacks, hey, I take the punch out of the equation. This was aimed here, but it ended up over there because I kicked that over there. So instead of going to the grab, I could just as easily go right into the technique we just did. All right, again, pretty simple, straightforward. Come up with your own applications. See how it works for you. But again, put it into live use somewhere so that you can make it functional for you. As always, thanks for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Visit my new webpage at Okinawan Seidokan at GoDaddy pages, I think it is. I'll put a link in. Hit the bell, like, share, subscribe, comment, critique, etc. And until next week, as always, keep practicing.